She thought your silence meant surrender. But silence can be deceptive. Sometimes it's not retreat, it's preparation. You weren't breaking, you were building. Building the strength to leave, the clarity to detach, the courage to walk away without a single word. And now, she's drowning in the very emptiness she once served you. Cold, calculated, and wrapped in a smile that never reached her eyes. She never imagined you'd actually leave. She believed your silence was weakness, that your stillness was submission. But it wasn't. That silence, it was training. It was emotional armor. It was the quiet before the storm, your exit. Now she's suffocating in the same emotional void she once handed you on a silver platter, masked by a fake grin and casual disregard. If you've ever felt that kind of betrayal, if those words sting because they speak your truth, comment, never again. To every soul watching this isn't just a video. This is a mirror, a message, a wake-up call. This is for the ones who gave everything and were still made to feel like an option. If you've ever been ignored, replaced, or discarded, this moment is yours. This is your reckoning. Support this channel not just for me, but to help keep these truths alive, for those still suffering in silence. Let's begin. Number 1, she took you for granted. While you were being loyal, present, and honest, she was calculating, measuring your effort, weighing it against her other options. She didn't love you for who you were. She loved the control your loyalty gave her. Every text you sent first, every night you waited for her reply, every time you ignored her coldness just to keep the peace, you were feeding her illusion of power. And she used it. Today's relationships aren't built on love or loyalty. They're built on entitlement. She believed that simply because she was a woman, your time, your energy, your emotional investment were guaranteed. She didn't think she needed to earn them. She thought they were her birthright, and you let it happen. You played the gentleman in a world that profits from breaking men. You gave her exclusivity, while she gave her attention to everyone else. You made plans. She made excuses. You built a future. She lived for the moment. She posted thirst traps. She messaged old flings. And you convinced yourself it was just insecurity. But disrespect was hiding in plain sight. You silenced your instincts because your love was real. And real love, it blinds good men in a world full of illusions. You paid for her dreams while she laughed at yours. You fought for her love while she entertained others. You stayed loyal while she flirted with the idea of your replacement. And the hardest part? You stayed. Not because you were weak, but because you hoped, deep down, that one day she would finally see your worth. But you were wrong. She saw it, she just didn't care, because modern women have been told they can do better, even when they give nothing in return. She thought she deserved a man who would die for her without ever asking her to live for him. So she tested you, with silence, with cold stares, with emotional withdrawal. She wanted to see if you'd break. You didn't. You bent. You twisted. You shattered inside. But still, you stayed. You adjusted your masculinity to fit her expectations. You killed off parts of yourself just to keep her interested. But attention isn't love. And love without respect? That's just abuse, slow and silent. You gave her the kind of consistency men rarely give anymore. And she mistook it for desperation. Every time you forgave her disrespect, she lost more respect for you. Every time you put her happiness above your peace, she resented you more. Because women don't love men they can walk all over. They love men who can walk away, and she knew you wouldn't. So she pushed harder until your soul collapsed, until the mirror reflected a man you no longer recognized, tired, empty, disrespected, but finally awake. You remembered. Love isn't meant to cost you your dignity. Peace is more attractive than begging. And silence? Silence speaks louder than any argument. You stopped texting first. You stopped over-explaining. You stopped begging. And that shook her more than any fight ever could. Because for the first time, she realized you were serious. The man who always stayed no longer needed her presence to feel worthy. Now she scrolls through your old messages, reading the love she'll never receive again. She replays memories she once mocked, crying over moments she thought would always be hers. But you're gone. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You've elevated. You've reclaimed your time, your energy, your masculinity. You've realized a woman who doesn't match your loyalty with effort isn't a prize. She's a distraction. And now it's her turn to sit in the silence. Her turn to feel the uncertainty, her turn to wonder if she was ever enough, because silence is deafening when it's earned. Don't check on her. Don't wonder if she misses you. She does. But that's no longer your concern. Your healing is not her closure. Your growth is not her redemption. She had you. She played you. She lost you. And no, it's not your job to teach her the lesson. Life will. Regret will. The lonely nights will, when she lies awake, replaying how she turned a king into an option. And what about you? She lost a man who chose silence over chaos. But while she sat in confusion, you didn't wait. You evolved. You didn't just move on. You leveled up so far, so fiercely that even your old self wouldn't recognize the man you've become. And when the next woman shows up, and believe me, she will, you won't settle for crumbs, because you've dined alone at the table of silence, discipline, and self-respect. You won't beg for love ever again, because you've learned real love isn't earned through suffering. It's reflected through reciprocity, through effort, through mutual respect. Let her sit with the consequences of your absence. Let her taste the weight of what she took for granted. Let her learn that good men don't chase, they choose. And now, you've chosen yourself. You've chosen peace over chaos, legacy over lust, purpose over pain, because you're no longer her safety net. You are your own foundation. And if one day she circles back, seeking what she once had, remind yourself, she didn't walk away because you lacked something. She walked away because she failed to recognize value staring her in the face. And once value walks away, it doesn't return. Not for nostalgia, not for apologies, not for promises of change. You're done being an option. You've become the storm she never saw coming. And now she feels the full force of it. Number 2, you tried everything. While you were pouring your energy, time, and loyalty into building something stable, she was quietly testing the limits of how far she could push before you'd finally break. But you didn't break. You didn't snap. You adapted. You adjusted. You bent yourself into uncomfortable shapes for a woman who never earned the right to touch those parts of you. You told yourself, if I just love harder, try more, soften a little more, maybe she'll see it. Maybe she'll stay. You hoped she'd stop entertaining other men online, that she'd stop posting photos meant to attract strangers instead of nurturing the loyalty sitting right in front of her. But every time you gave more, she gave less. Your effort was met with indifference. Your presence was returned with emotional distance. You showed up, but she was never really there. She offered surface-level affection with no substance beneath it. Her love had terms and conditions, and you signed every line thinking the fine print would lead to forever. You planned surprise dates, stayed up for late-night heart-to-hearts. You forgave her emotional immaturity, hoping that with time she'd grow. You made excuses to your friends, defended her absence to your family. You fought for something she was never truly invested in. And the worst part? You blamed yourself. You wondered if you weren't attractive enough, if your income wasn't enough, if maybe you weren't alpha enough. But the truth? She was never ready to love you, because love requires accountability. It demands presence. It takes work. And modern dating has sold women the illusion that there's always something better, just one DM away. So she treated your consistency like a backup plan. You were her therapist, her safety net, her provider, her protector. But the moment you asked for something in return, respect, effort, emotional accountability, suddenly you were controlling, toxic, too much. She flipped the script every time you called out the imbalance. She called you insecure when your gut was screaming the truth. But that wasn't paranoia. That was intuition, and she knew it. She played on your empathy. She weaponized your loyalty. She knew you'd give her one more chance, every time. And she used every last one. You became her constant, and she resented you for it. In her mind, anything that doesn't excite, chase, or create drama is boring. She mistook peace for boredom, not realizing she was destroying a man most women pray for. She saw your forgiveness as weakness. But inside, you were breaking. You stopped laughing the same. You paused before speaking. You watched your tone, afraid that honesty might cause another emotional shutdown. You weren't you anymore. You became a version of yourself she could tolerate. And that's when you truly lost. Because the moment a man starts editing who he is just to keep a woman happy, he's already surrendered his power. She didn't leave you. You left yourself. But not anymore. You tried everything. Now it's her turn to sit with the silence. Your job isn't to win her back, it's to win yourself back. Cut every emotional tie. No more explaining, no more defending, no more proving your worth to someone who never truly saw it. Rebuild your routine without her in it. Fill your schedule with progress. Take all the energy you once gave her and invest it into you. Get in the gym, not to look good for her, but to feel strong in your own skin. Start journaling, not for poetry, but for clarity. Build emotional discipline, not for approval, but for peace. Don't answer her calls when loneliness drives her back to your doorstep. Don't check her page, don't wonder what she's doing. Block her like you'd rip a virus from your system. Stop seeking closure. Her behavior was the closure. The emotional neglect, the gaslighting, the way she made you question your own reality. That was your answer. You don't need to know why she didn't choose you. You need to ask yourself why you thought she was ever worth choosing. Because here's the truth. When a woman knows you'll stay no matter what, she stops trying. But the moment she realizes you're really gone, it hits her. But by then, your job is to keep walking, because any return she makes after your healing is not a gift, it's a test. And if she ever wants access again, she better come correct. But by that time, you'll have grown so much she won't even qualify for the man you've become. The old you tried everything. The new you, he only entertains what tries for him. You want practical steps? Start here. Block her on every platform. Not from bitterness, but from healing. Write down every moment she made you feel invisible. Read it. Burn it. Let it go. Replace every thought of her with a rep in the gym, a chapter in a book, a new skill, a better habit. Upgrade your wardrobe. Fix your posture. Speak less. Do more. Say no to people who drain your energy, and watch how fast your spirit returns. Date yourself until the loneliness becomes leadership. You've begun to rise. You've started choosing yourself over chaos, truth over illusion. But healing isn't a straight line, and when the pain returns, as it always does, remember this. Feel it, but don't worship it. Use it. Turn that ache into fuel. Remind yourself, she didn't walk away because you weren't enough. She left because she couldn't match the man you already were, and now you're becoming someone even stronger. She once saw your love as weakness, but now your absence hits harder than your presence ever did. That's the quiet power of a man who gave his all and then chose himself. Number 3, she never thought you'd walk away. While she played her little games, calculated her next moves, and used your loyalty as leverage, she believed she had you wrapped. She believed you were too kind, too patient, too emotionally tied to ever truly leave. She knew your patterns. She knew your heart. She knew your loyalty. And she mistook all of it for blindness. Every time she pulled back, you leaned in. Every time she punished you with silence, you responded with more kindness. She believed you were emotionally trapped, and in many ways, you were. Because the depth of your love had you clinging to the illusion that this could still work, that maybe the highs would return, that the woman she used to be would come back. But that woman, she never existed. She was a performance, a mask, a mirror of your dreams, your values, your desires. She said what you wanted to hear, acted like your perfect partner until she got what she wanted, your commitment. Then she shifted. Not all at once, but slowly. First, she stopped appreciating the little things. Then came the comparisons. You know, my ex used to do this, or why can't you be more like? Each comment, each jab wasn't random. It was strategic. She wanted to make you feel like you were falling short, not because she valued growth, but because she craved control. Control over your confidence, control over your masculinity, control over your time, your energy, your peace. And what did you do? You adjusted again. You tried being softer, more agreeable, more understanding, thinking it would bring the spark back. But there was no spark left, only power, and she held it. Modern relationships aren't built on love anymore. They're built on leverage, and the person who cares less holds the most. She knew that, and she used it. She started posting pictures designed to provoke jealousy. She left your messages on read for hours, only to respond with a casual lull. No context, no care. She made you feel like a stranger in your own relationship. And when you brought it up, she flipped it on you. Why are you so insecure? But that wasn't insecurity. That was clarity. That was your intuition waving a red flag right in front of your face, begging to be seen. Still, you ignored it. because you were taught to fight for love, to hold on no matter what. But here's the truth. Holding on to disrespect isn't strength. It's self-abandonment. She knew you'd stay. She knew you'd forgive. And the more you forgave, the less she respected you. That's the ugly truth about power dynamics. People don't value what they believe they can't lose. And she believed she couldn't lose you. But something shifted. Maybe it was the way you stopped laughing. Maybe it was the way your eyes looked tired even when you smiled. Maybe it was your friends saying you're not yourself anymore. Whatever it was, it woke you up. And when a man wakes up, everything changes. You didn't scream, you didn't throw things, you didn't beg, you disconnected, and that's what she never expected. That's what scares a woman like her, because men like you, when they finally decide to walk, they don't look back. And the silence, it crushed her. Because it wasn't just silence, it was final. No more emotion, no more availability, just the unmistakable presence of self-respect. She never believed you'd leave, not because you couldn't, but because you cared too much. But now she sees the truth. The man who truly cared left, not out of weakness, but because he finally ran out of reasons to stay. Now she replays old messages. She rewatches your stories. She taps your profile, looking for signs of the man she once called hers. She watches you become the man she always claimed she wanted, but now it's with someone else. And every time she hears your name, sees your photo, or remembers your voice, one thought echoes in her mind. He was mine, and I lost him. But that regret, it no longer belongs to you. It's hers. Let her carry it. Don't respond to her breadcrumbs. Don't answer the I miss you text. Don't fall for the illusion of closure. Because closure, it's not a conversation. You've already made your choice. Silence over chaos, peace over confusion. She expected arguments, drama, maybe one last plea. Instead, you gave her stillness. A quiet so clear, it couldn't be mistaken for anything but power. You want strength? Build your life around purpose. You want respect? Walk away when it's no longer mutual. You want healing? Live in such a way that her memory no longer belongs in your future. Block her. Unfollow her. Release her. Not from hate, but from honor. Honor for the man you once were, and even more for the man you're becoming. Reclaim your mornings. Fill them with discipline, not distraction. Reclaim your evenings. Fill them with silence, with learning, with peace. Rewire your mind to associate love not with pain, but with calm. Let go of the addiction to chaos that she planted in your nervous system. And when the temptation comes, because it will, when the urge strikes to check her page, reply to her I miss you text or revisit her ghost. Remind yourself she never believed you'd walk, but you did. And now that you have, you owe it to yourself to never return. You were the blessing. She was the lesson. And the only way to honor both is to never repeat it. Number 4, she expected drama. Tears, a breakdown, a desperate attempt to win her back. She expected anything but silence. What she never saw coming was your complete and quiet withdrawal, not because you ran out of words, but because you realized your words had lost all value the moment she stopped listening. When a man pours his soul into deaf ears, when his love is met with indifference, something inside him dies. But from that death, something greater is born. A version of him she secretly feared would ever awaken. A version built on peace, not permission. Silence isn't absence, it's dominance. It's the boldest statement a man can make after being dismissed, ignored, and emotionally exhausted. You didn't yell. You didn't argue. You didn't explain. You vanished, not as a game, not to provoke a reaction, but because you realized chaos can't survive without a host. And now, that silence, it's echoing through every corner of her mind. It haunts the spaces she used to fill with your voice, your care, your presence, because now, in the absence of your energy, she's finally forced to sit with herself. No more noise to drown out her guilt. No more excuses to silence her conscience. Modern dating often operates under a dangerous assumption that men are disposable, that loyalty can be exploited infinitely without consequence. She believed you'd always stay. She relied on your empathy. She trusted your history together would hold the bond. But now, your silence has become her mirror. And that mirror doesn't lie. It reflects every time she prioritized strangers' attention over your love. Every time she dismissed your concerns. Every moment she traded your emotional presence for fleeting validation. Now she's looking for signs you still care. Refreshing her feed, scanning for your name, scrolling through her stories, hoping to find traces of you. But there's nothing, because you've withdrawn your energy. And that withdrawal, that's power. You're no longer reacting, which means she no longer controls you, because that's what silence really is, a reclaiming of control. It's the declaration that you no longer dance to her rhythm. You now move to the beat of your own evolution. And while she posts cryptic captions, half-naked thirst traps, and fake spiritual quotes hoping to bait your attention, you remain invisible. Not out of spite, but out of elevation. You didn't just delete her number, you deleted the version of yourself that needed her. You replaced sleepless nights with early discipline, tears with reps, doubt with strategy. You turned pain into a blueprint, because choosing silence wasn't just an exit, it was an ascension. And your growth, it's irreversible. This is where most men fail. They leave physically, but never detach mentally. But not you. You wiped the slate clean, you faced your own enabling behavior. You stopped placing all the blame on her and owned your part. Because kings take accountability. But kings don't stay in castles built on lies and manipulation. You saw through the pattern, the inconsistent affection, the hot and cold behavior, the breadcrumb love meant to keep you hungry. That wasn't love, that was training. She trained you to crave crumbs, but now you're starving for substance. And silence is how you unlearn the addiction. In the quiet, you finally heard yourself again. You started reading, thinking, building, healing. Because healing isn't loud, it's deliberate, it's painful, but it's powerful. And when she eventually breaks the silence with a hey, a thinking of you, just checking in, don't respond. Not because you hate her, but because you respect yourself. You don't owe anyone access to you just because they miss the benefits of your presence. You were her constant, her calm, her safety. She mistook consistency for desperation. But silence? Silence is correcting her. Every second you don't reply, she reflects, and reflection is where regret is born. But hear this clearly. Your role is not to be her second chance. Your purpose now is to become the man who no longer needs her validation. So move like your absence is the final chapter. Build a life so full of purpose, even her memory feels like an interruption. Because every time you stay silent, you rewrite the story from the man who tolerated everything to the man who now sets the standard. And that man, he doesn't chase, he doesn't explain, he doesn't return to chaos for closure. You didn't scream, you didn't chase, you didn't explain, you just left. And in that silence, you closed the chapter and opened a brand new book. Not one she gets to read. Not this time. You asked for steps? Here they are. Block her access to your life. Not halfway. Not maybe one day. Make it clean. Make it permanent. Reclaim your focus. Invest in your body, your mind, your money, your network. Create a new rhythm for yourself. Wake up earlier. Read more. Talk less. Track your progress. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Build a world so rich, so disciplined, so full of movement that she no longer fits in it. And when that voice whispers, just check her profile, don't. Go lift. Go create. Go serve. Because every time you choose silence over relapse, you win. You recover a piece of yourself. You reinforce your spirit. And eventually you won't just be a better man. You'll be unrecognizable to the one who once begged for a love that only hurt him. She thought you'd yell. She thought you'd crumble. She thought you'd stay. But you didn't. You chose peace. You chose growth. You chose you. And now that silence, it echoes louder than any argument ever could. Number 5. Now she remembers everything. While you're rebuilding, growing, and disappearing into the calm of your evolution, she's starting to remember what she swore she'd forget. But it's no longer a faint memory. It's a vivid ache. Every quiet moment becomes a battlefield of emotion. The texts you used to send first thing in the morning, the voice notes where you reminded her who she was when she doubted herself, the way you looked at her like she was the only woman in the world, that attention, that warmth, that security. She thought it was endless. Now it's a ghost, and not one she can summon back. Because the moment you chose peace, her world became noise. She's haunted now by the way you smiled through disappointment, by how you whispered, "I got you," when she had nothing left to give. She hears it all now. She replays every moment where she dismissed your feelings. Every time she told you, you're too emotional, when all you really wanted was to be heard. She remembers rolling her eyes when you tried to plan for a future, one she never intended to build with you. You were her stability in a world full of temporary men, but she never saw it. Not until you were gone. That gym you've been hitting, she sees it. That business you've launched, she's watching. That silence you've mastered, it's louder than anything she's ever heard, because you didn't leave out of rage, you left out of clarity. And clarity doesn't chase, it walks unapologetically toward freedom. Now her friends ask about you. Even her mother wonders why she let you go, and her heart, it's asking the question she used to throw at you: why wasn't I enough? And that's when the truth cuts deepest. Because you weren't the problem, you were the answer. While she was chasing excitement, you were offering foundation. While she was addicted to attention, you were offering devotion. But she was blind to your consistency, because society told her love must be chaotic to be real. But love isn't supposed to hurt, and you finally figured that out. You didn't walk away to make her suffer. You walked away to stop suffering yourself. Now she's digging through old memories, trying to unearth moments she once buried. She remembers how safe you made her feel, how you showed up when no one else did, how you forgave her when she least deserved it. And now she checks your story, hoping for signs of someone else in your life, hoping for a glimpse of who you've become. But you're not advertising pain anymore. You're moving in silence. You're healing. You're growing. You're guarding your energy like it's gold. And she's left alone with a reflection that won't lie to her anymore. The same mind that once whispered, "He's too soft," now screams, "You lost the best man you ever had." She's not crying because she lost control. She's crying because she lost someone who genuinely cared. The man who stood by her when no one else would. The man she never had anyway. Now every distraction she runs to falls flat. Her followers don't know her soul. The flirty DMs don't offer protection. The affirmations are empty. And when she lays down at night, all she sees is you, loving, protecting, gone, because that's the true weight of regret. It's not missing what someone did for you. It's realizing you'll never have access to it again. And while she's trying to numb the void with fake positivity, shallow hookups, filtered photos, your silence only grows louder. You want real action? Here's your path. Don't post for her. Post for your purpose. Don't train your body for revenge. Train it because your body is your kingdom. Don't chase closure. Create distance so permanent that closure becomes irrelevant. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. You owe it to the man who begged for her attention and received only crumbs. To the man who stayed up night after night, wondering what else he could do to make her feel something real. You owe it to your future. So keep going. That pain, it was a seed, and now she's watching it grow into a man she no longer deserves to know. And the most powerful part, you didn't raise your voice. You raised your standards. And now, she remembers everything. This is where it ends and where everything truly begins. She once had your presence, your protection, your patience. But when you chose silence, not as a tactic, but as a truth, everything changed. You didn't walk away to punish her. You walked away to protect yourself, because silence isn't peace, it's a consequence. A space where she now has to sit with her own decisions. And that space, it's louder than any argument, any closure, any final goodbye. You stopped saving her from herself. You stopped catching her when she fell, stopped absorbing the damage from her emotional chaos. Now she's alone, not just in her room, but in her soul. She scrolls through her phone looking for comfort, but none of those names feel right. None of those faces can match the gravity of your gaze. Because validation from strangers can't replace the loyalty of one real man. And she let that man go. You were the one who listened, who stayed steady when she unraveled. You were her shelter in the storm. And now, that shelter is gone. That consistency she once dismissed now echoes in its absence. She used to be bold, post for attention, speak without care. But now she hesitates. Now, every word is curated, every post a trap, hoping you'll notice, hoping you'll miss her. But you don't. Because while she stays stuck in her loop, you've elevated beyond recognition, not in distance, but in height. You're becoming everything she never thought you would without her. She thought you'd fold, come crawling back when her games got old. But now she sees attention isn't love. Affection without intention is just noise. And you don't respond to noise anymore. Every attempt she makes to recreate what she had with you fails. because no one listens like you did. No one sees her like you did. No one grounds her like you once did. She tried to replace you, but now realizes you weren't just a man. You were a moment in time she'll never get back. And now you're not watching. You're not wondering. You're not hurting. You're building. Quietly, powerfully, unstoppably. She carved the silence that now surrounds her. She trained you to stop caring. She taught you that love without respect is just manipulation dressed in romance. Let her sit in that. Let her sit in the loss. Let her feel the full weight of the man she let go, not out of anger, but out of honor for yourself. Because every time you feel tempted to check in, remind yourself, she made you feel like an afterthought. She treated your love like a burden. She gave you fragments and expected loyalty in return. Let those memories sharpen your focus. Let them shape your new standards. From this moment on, you don't chase, you don't explain, you don't shrink to fit someone else's comfort zone. You build, you lead, you command. The woman who gets access to you in the future will know your value from day one. She will match your effort, your pace, your peace. She will not meet a broken man begging for love. She will meet a man forged in silence, a man who rose from the wreckage and became untouchable. The old you? He died the moment you walked away. The man who stands now? He doesn't negotiate with the past. He doesn't seek closure. He doesn't return to chaos. He walks with purpose. He protects his peace like gold. He builds a life so full that even her memory feels like an interruption. Let her regret. Let her remember. Let her cry. But don't you look back, because what's ahead of you isn't just better. It's everything you've always deserved. Comment: I choose myself. If this spoke to your soul, support this message. Not for me, but for every man who's still stuck in silence, still holding pain, still waiting for the words that give him permission to break free. This was never about her. It's always been about you. And now it's time to rise.